Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, this is my very first nighttime vlog that I have done in a really, really long time. It is currently 2:30, you can't see it on here, 2:32 a.m. And I was sitting here watching the new show, First Kill, on Netflix, and I thought, why don't I just vlog for a little bit? I haven't vlogged at night in a really long time, and so the moon is so beautiful. It looks like it's, I can't tell if it's full or not. I don't know if you guys can see it from here, but it almost kind of looks like it's full. And so I was like, I think I'm gonna film a little bit right now. I have just kind of in and out slept all day today. We had our air conditioning guy coming to just kind of do an update on our air conditioner for the summer. We have them, you know, come out and check things on the air conditioner every summer. And I had gone to bed very late last night. I will talk about that in just a second. Well, I'll talk about it right now because I had watched The Perfect Mother last night, all 4 episodes. I just binge watched it and watched it back to back. So I went to bed at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I don't even know what time it was. It was really early. Alex had left for work, and he called me, and he said, I just want you to know, you guys, me and Boo Radley, he goes, I just want you to know that the air conditioning guy is going to be there in like 20-25 minutes. And I was like, okay. So I got up, and the air conditioning guy came, and he was super nice, but I thought he would be here for like 15 minutes because usually these checkups take like 15 minutes. And it ended up taking like an hour and a half. And so anyway, I'm glad that we got it fixed or checked out though, because first of all, he said there was so much of that like cotton from the cottonwood trees or dogwood trees or whatever that was covering, it looked like a blanket, honestly, on the outside air conditioning unit, that I hadn't even really looked at it because it's kind of like secured away outside. So he had to like peel it off and take the things off, and then he like hosed it down. And then we also needed, there was like a leak in the air conditioner as well, which he found. So, but then, so he got done, I don't even know what time it was, and I was so tired, so I was like, I'm gonna go back. Well, then what happened was we have this huge like dirt hole outside off of our deck because the neighbor dog like dug in the dirt, and so anytime it rains or anything, it turns into mud. And the guy was using the hose, and so there was like this mud hole out there. And so there's like the softest breeze. It feels so nice. The trees are like bending. You can see them or not, but they're like, you probably can't see them. They're like bending and stuff. But anyway, so when I took Boo Radley out afterwards, he came like running like really fast up around the corner, and he like kind of like slipped in the mud before he like came up on the deck. So I had to clean his paws off. Which that was real fun because his little paws were all covered in mud, and like, you know, of course he doesn't understand what's going on. So anyway, I laid down and for like an hour at that point, and then I got up because I had therapy today. So I got up, got ready for my therapy session. I had my therapy session. I was so tired, you guys, the whole day. I just was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And it was like I felt physically tired. I didn't feel like mentally tired. I felt like physically tired. So I had my therapy session, and then I like did some stuff around the house and whatever. And I was actually going to like film a drama video and do my vlog and all that kind of stuff. But I was so tired, and so I like laid down for, I think it was like 2 more hours at that point. It was like mid-afternoon. I don't even remember. My therapy appointment was like 2:15, and we went to like 3:30, and then it's like 4:30 I laid down, and then Alex was coming home, and so I was like, okay, I'm just not gonna, it's by this point, anything I get up, it's gonna be up so late that there's no point in filming it. So I was just like, whatever. I'm just gonna take the day off and just not film anything today. So, but I did, like, I was kind of beating myself up about it a little bit because I hadn't filmed videos over the weekend, and so I really wanted to film videos today. Specifically because of that, because I hadn't filmed videos this weekend. And so, and I had like this whole list of all of these videos that I wanted to film on like all of my channels, you know? The thing is that tomorrow it's supposed to be really nice. And so I kind of wanted to lay out outside a little bit, and then I have my meeting tomorrow night, and then Wednesday, it's supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful all day. And it's like supposed to be like in the upper 90s and just like bright sunshine the whole day. So those are going to be like 2 days that I'm, you know, not going to necessarily want to film like videos all day long when it's like beautiful outside, if that makes sense. So I was like, I'll film my video or my vlog tonight, and then I'll have my vlog ready for tomorrow. So I have to, before I go to bed tonight, I have to water these plants because it is so hot and humid that I want to make sure. I need to check them out and see how dry. They're not really that dry. Yeah, they're not really that dry. But I want to make sure. Now the fern up here, she's getting a little dry up there because of the bird eggs and stuff. Somebody had said something about like putting some ice cubes like under the nest, but I don't know that I really want to do that. I think I might just spray the fern. Like I have a, you know, like a water sprayer for plants. I think I might just spray the plant, the fern, until the babies are gone. So yeah, that was my day today. And then Alex came home and we kind of hung out and talked together. I can't remember, we watched like a show on Game Show Network. It's the one with Leah Remini. It's not my favorite one. The one with Leah Remini where she is, it's like the People crossword puzzle one. And then he wanted to catch up on some TV shows. So, because he had like several shows that he watches like on his own. So he was catching up on those. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go upstairs and just like lay down for a second. And I didn't plan on going to sleep. And the next thing I know, Alex is coming upstairs and it's like 9 o'clock and he's like, I'm so tired, I don't know why. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to lay here for a second. And then he was going to bed. So we both like went to bed really early tonight. I don't know, maybe my body just needed it. I woke up about 11 something and like I felt like alert, like wide awake. You know, like in the movie Thelma and Louise when she says like, I'm awake. I've never been so awake before. Like when she says that, like that's how I felt. And so I got a water. I've been drinking this. This is like my favorite of these San Pellegrinos. This is, I can't see what it says. Hold on a second. It's the cherry one. Dark Morello, cherry, and pomegranate. Oh, I know what I did. I made little sandwiches, and I ate this pasta salad that I got from Fresh Time. And then I had some ice cream. I bought this Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I thought it was going to be like this, the Chubby Hubby from Ben & Jerry's, because it was like chocolate-covered pretzels and chocolate. But it didn't taste anything like Chubby Hubby. So that was kind of my day. I just kind of relaxed all day. Now I feel totally relaxed. And, talked to my doctor as well. Ordered another CAT scan because I have to go in there for my follow-up, my next follow-up appointment. I go in there in 2 weeks. So I have to get a CAT scan. Actually the morning of Alex's birthday next week. So he's going to take me. And then he said we could just like, afterwards come and lay out. So it only takes like, for me to go in and get the CAT scan, it takes me like 10 minutes. The place is like super fast that I go to. And they're really, really nice. So hopefully things are better than they were last time. And that there's some improvement on the CAT scan. So yeah, I mean, if it wasn't supposed to be nice tomorrow, I probably would stay up all night long and watch the show. I'm actually really into this show, First Kill. It's hard for me sometimes with these like teenage kind of shows because I'm sitting on the other side. I usually sit over there and watch TV, but I thought like with the light in the background it would be hard to see me. So I was like, I'm gonna sit over on this other side so you guys can see me because like the light is kind of like shining down. But with these teenage shows, like they all kind of remind me of each other a little bit, like Riverdale and Pretty Little Liars, and what's the other one? I mean, I've watched a lot of them through the years. Alex likes them. He loves Gossip Girl. Actually, this one, First Kill, has the mother from Gossip Girl in it, from the original Gossip Girl. I think she's in the... Is she in the follow-up Gossip Girl too? I don't know, but she's in this one. She plays the mother of one of the girls. Interestingly enough, the show is created and produced by V.E. Schwab, who is a young adult writer. And she writes, I think she's written some adult books too. She's written, Victoria Schwab, she's written tons of books about like vampires and stuff, which is basically what this series is about. It's about vampires and hunters. And I think people would probably compare it to like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it's a little bit darker than that. It kind of is a little bit more like, it takes place in Savannah, Georgia, so the background of it is beautifully set. It's really well done. I really like it. So it's 8 episodes. I'm on the 2nd episode right now. I'm about halfway through. Last night I didn't know what I wanted to watch, so I watched The Perfect Mother, which is in French, and it's like dubbed over, and it is about this girl who goes home with this guy, and she like comes out of the bathroom and he's been like murdered, and so she's like the main suspect, and her mom and dad and brother at the time live in Berlin, and so her mom comes over to like rescue her and get her out of the situation. And so it's this very like intense kind of murder mystery. I don't know who the actress is that plays the mother, but she's fantastic. And I was really kind of surprised. I thought when I started it, I was like, I'm not into this at all. Like I don't think that I can watch this or get down with this at all. But I ended up watching the whole thing. I was blown away. Like in one setting, I watched the whole thing. And the episodes weren't super long. I think they were like 40 minutes long. I like when an episode for a show is like 42 minutes long, something like that, you know, between 40 and 45 minutes, because then you can get the show done a little bit faster. I wonder when the full moon is supposed to be, because it doesn't, it looks like it's either tomorrow or yesterday, the full moon, you know what I mean? Let's see, full moon, June 2022. Oh, it's tomorrow, Tuesday, June 14th. When to see the full moon in June 2022? In the evening of Tuesday, June 14th, just after sunset, look towards the southeast to watch the full moon rise gently above the horizon. There it will appear large and golden hued. June's full moon will reach peak illumination at 7:52 a.m. Oh, is this the super moon? June's strawberry moon will light up the sky this week. The moon will appear full from Sunday moonrise to Wednesday moonset, according to NASA. It will reach its peak at 7:52 a.m. Eastern Time Tuesday, but will not be fully visible in North America until moonrise. This year's strawberry moon is the first of 2 consecutive supermoons. While there is no single definition, the term supermoon generally refers to a full moon that appears brighter and larger than the other moons because it is at its closest orbit to Earth. To a casual observer, the supermoon may appear similar in size to other moons. However, the noticeable change in brightness enhances visibility and creates a great opportunity for people to begin paying attention to the moon and its phases, said this guy, Chief Noah Petro, chief of NASA's planetary geology. And then they show a picture of what the supermoon is supposed to be like. But I'm going to show it to you guys. It doesn't appear orange yet. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it or not. Because, you know, whenever you try to show something on, like, a camera, it never works. This is, like, right where I sit. I can see it. It's really pretty, isn't it? So, yeah. Okay. Here we are. Hello. Back home again in Indiana. It's probably interesting for you guys that have been watching this for a while now that I've been doing these front porch vlogs, because it's like during the day you can hear all the birds, and then do you hear how silent it is during the night? Like, you don't hear anything at all. Now, right underneath where the moon is, like if you just drew a line down, is where one of the lakes are. And then the other lake is over there. And they're actually pretty big. I was like, is this battery dying already? They're actually pretty, I wouldn't say they're big. Like, they're not like, you couldn't have yachts on them. But for a community like this, they're rather large. Especially this one. Goes like way out, and it has like bridges over it. I'll show you when I walk around the community and I do that video. But it has like bridges over it, and then it goes into the other neighborhood, and there's houses that sit on the back of it. So I should look up some questions and see what you guys are asking. What are you asking? Let's see. The chauffeur's daughter said, I absolutely love the new Jurassic World, but it is getting bad reviews. I think you would like it, Peter. I think I'll like it no matter what. And I do think I'm going to go do that on my birthday. That's what I'm going to do on my birthday. Okay, Victoria asked me, you mentioned buying Jewel of the Nile and Romancing the Stone. Do you already own War of the Roses? And she also goes on to talk about Osage County. I did not love War of the Roses. That was not... So it's like, that was when Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas are like living in this house together, and they're having this divorce, going through this divorce and whatever. I did not love that movie. So no, that was probably, I haven't bought that one yet. Osage County, I love. It's very deep subject matter. I think Meryl Streep is dying of cancer and all of her kids come home. But it's fantastically done. I will tell you, if you want like kind of a funny version of that movie, but it's still done really, really well, and it has Beverly D'Angelo in it, and some other people. It has, not Jeff Bridges, but another Bridges brother, and it's called Daddy's Dying, Who's Got the Will. It is so great and so hilarious. I'm kind of surprised I haven't bought that movie. I need to buy that one. Okay, let's read. Marlo asked me, did you ever listen to the Marlo Thomas Free to Be You and Me album when you were growing up? I did, actually. I have that album in my basement. No, true story, I really do. And there was a TV show or something that went with it. So when I was a little kid, these were the record albums that I loved. Well, other than like the Broadway version of Annie. I loved that. And then I had the original soundtrack to The Wizard of Oz, and I loved that. And then I also had this, like, you know those books where you, like, it beeps and you turn the pages? I had that, but it was Alice in Wonderland. And then I had Free to Be You and Me, and then I also had Pete's Dragon. Because I loved Pete's Dragon when I was a kid. Because I was Peter, you know, so I loved that so much. Okay, Ara said 2 things real quick. I absolutely need to try the new pints of Little Debbie ice cream. I will do that. Oh, the honey buns flavor sounds good. Joss from the West Coast said, I'm so glad that you chose recovery. Do you know, that's an interesting comment, I think. And I really, like, I appreciate that comment. Here, I'm going to move you guys closer a little bit. I appreciate that comment because I don't think that's often how people view it. You know, that we choose certain things in our life. But I'm definitely a believer in that. You know, I'm definitely a believer that we do choose certain roads. You know, I was talking to somebody about a friend of mine today, and I was saying that it was so hard for me. I was talking to my therapist about this, actually. So a friend of mine that had gone back out and had been sober for double-digit years of sobriety. And on Facebook, I had noticed that they were kind of making fun of sober living, sober life, right? And I think it would be hard to, with this specific person, it wasn't like an overnight thing. It wasn't like a slow progression, or it wasn't like an overnight thing. It was a slow progression. It kind of like was, they stopped going to meetings, they didn't have a sponsor, they weren't working steps, they stopped hanging out with all of us, they started hanging out with a new group of friends, and then it was like one thing after another led to another thing, and then all of a sudden they're like back into full-blown addiction. And they're back into full-blown addiction, right? And I've expressed on many occasions how worried I am for them and things like that, you know, but like, I have always been taught that somebody has to have enough pain before they make changes in their life. So I don't know that this person ever will be back in sobriety. And, you know, I had a sponsor at one point. It was actually at the beginning of when this person went back out, but I had like 3 friends that went back out at around the same time, and they all had lots of sobriety. And that really messes with you as a person in recovery when you're, you know, 15 to 20 years sober and your friends that have similar amount of time as you, that it's not just about going to meetings or talking about not drinking or whatnot. It's, you've shared lives with these people. Their kids have grown up around you. You know, you remember their kids being born. And you've gone to each other's, you know, weddings, and then they're back, right, out there. And so it's not just like a falling out. And I will say, in almost every single case where a friend of mine has gone back out there, if I don't talk to them anymore, because there's 1 or 2 that I still do talk to today. Actually, like 2 of my old friends, like when the accident happened, like reached out to me, and that was kind of a forming of a new foundation for a friendship going forward a little bit. But in almost all of the cases of friends of mine that have gone back out, our not having a relationship has really nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. You know, like, I've continued to reach out, and I've continued to, you know, try to be supportive of them and whatever, and I just at some point stop hearing from them. And I don't know if that's guilt or if that's like they feel a certain way. But anyway, I was looking at my friend's Facebook, and she was making these very snide comments about recovery. And anybody in her life knows that she spent a major part of her life in recovery, and that she's not in recovery now. Like, that would be, you wouldn't even need to be like a genius or a brain surgeon to read that from her Facebook, right? And she was making these very snide comments, and kind of hurt a little bit, you know. It kind of was like, and I understand that that's her stuff and she's got to work on that, but I was kind of like, you know, You were given so much as a result of the gift of recovery that you chose for 20 years of your life. You know, you didn't have to do it. Nobody forced you to. And you got so much as a result of that, including friends with some pretty wonderful people, I think. You know what I mean? That to then just be like, it's this big joke. And I have more than one friend that has that attitude that's gone back out, that has this attitude that recovery is just this joke, you know? And, you know, there was like one friend of ours that, this happened a long time ago, that was kind of making some snippet comments about 12-step programs, and Tanya was like very quick and was like, hey, listen, I understand this is not the life that you choose to live anymore, but this is what has given me a life and has allowed me to raise my kid and have the kennel and my marriage and everything else, you know, and please don't speak of, and it was all of your friends, every one of your friends at one point was this way, please don't speak about it. And, you know, don't put it down, at least not in front of me. Like, if you want to have things to say about it, but not in front of me, because I'm very protective of it. And I would say that is one thing that is very true of my close friend group in recovery is, you know, we're very much believers in the idea of it's attraction rather than promotion, because that's, you know, what we're taught. And I believe that. And what that means is that when somebody is attracted to the lifestyle that you have in recovery, you talk to them about it. You share your story. That's all you do. You share your experience, strength, and hope. You don't force somebody and say you need to come in, you need to go to meetings, you need to do this, you need to do that. First of all, as an active addict, people saying to me, you need, never worked for me. Like, if anybody would have told me what I needed to do, I would have said what you need to do is back up 10 feet. So if anybody had said that to me at that time, and I'm sure there maybe was, you know, somebody that said something like that, but if anybody had said that to me at that time, I don't think I'd be here today. You know, it was the ability to choose to be in sobriety. It was the ability to choose a higher power of my choosing, of what that looked like to me. It was the ability to choose how many meetings I wanted to go to a week, or not at all, or the ability to choose a sponsor and what I wanted that sponsor to look like and how often I wanted to choose to call that sponsor. So that word choice, when it comes to sobriety and recovery, is very fragile and very important to me, because it was something that I was taught in early sobriety, was that I had a lot of choices. And I don't know that I really understood that. Like, I don't know that I really got, before I got sober, that I had choices, because I was so confined by the use, right? Like, I was so confined by the need, the dependency to constantly use on a regular basis. So it was constantly, for me, this feeling of what I needed to do to stay alive. So it didn't feel like I had a lot of choices, you know, not at all. It felt like, God, that scared the hell out of me. It was like my eye for a second kind of like blurred up and I thought somebody was walking by in the street. But I didn't feel at all like I had a lot of choices. I felt like I don't know. I look back on that time and it's so interesting to me, because I didn't feel, you know, it's weird. I've been sober for 27 and a half years. That's a long time, you guys. It's a really, really long time. And there are sometimes that it feels like it was just yesterday, and there are sometimes that it feels like it was a really long time. And the majority of my days, it feels like it was a really long time. Like, it feels like when I first came in was so long ago, you know? I mean, I think that's the weird part about turning 50, is that, first of all, I never thought that I would be here. Second of all, it's like, I have had so many opportunities and experiences in my life, you know, in the last 20, it stopped. I've had so many experiences and so many opportunities in my last 25 to 30 years. I've lived a good life. You know, I have lived a phenomenal life. Even with all of the horrific things that have happened in my life. I have, you know, I was watching the end of that Ashes, Keeper of the Ashes on Hulu. And at the end of it, Kristen Chenoweth says that she's like, I've had a really amazing life. Like, if I was gone tomorrow, like, it would, none of it have been in vain. And I feel very much like that, you know. I feel blessed for every day that I'm given. I feel truly grateful for every day that I wake up. But it's been like a very long conscious life of the last 25 to 30 years. I mean, it's been long where I've like recognized, I remember a lot, let's just put it that way, you know? And that's not just because I'm sober. That just, I don't know, I like, when you're doing evaluation and you're all doing this and, you know, you look at things, it's like, well, that was the year, as you get older, you'll understand what I'm saying. It's like, well, that was the year that this happened, or that was the year that this happened, you know? And sometimes I kind of forget, I think, what it was like in early sobriety. It was interesting because this person that I was friends with way back in the day, I didn't even know she was sober. I haven't talked to her, and I mean, we weren't ever close friends, but I knew her like in school. And she posted something, and she said that she had been sober for a year as of that day. And you know, I reached out to her and I sent her a message and I said, I just want you to know how much it means to me as somebody that's been around for a while when people share that they have 30 days or 60 days or 90 days or 6 months or a year. Because it is really important for me to be reminded of where I came from. That's where I find humility. And it's really important for me to remember that I'm only one drink away from going back to that, or one hit off a joint, or one pill. Like, I'm just one drink away from all of that, of going back to that, right? Which terrifies me sometimes. Because like I said, I've seen it. And so, but the thing is that like, before I got sober, I was so scared of what my life would look like sober. Like, I was terrified of it, right? Like, I was like, I mean, at that point, it was like, how am I going to get married? You know, I mean, it was stupid stuff. It was like, how am I going to get married when I can't have champagne toast at my wedding? You know, all the way to, like, how am I going to go to concerts anymore? All the things that weren't really that important to me as far as, like, drinking and using were the things I used as excuses for why I couldn't quit. I mean, forget the Tuesdays through Sundays that I was going out getting absolutely obliterated in bars and drinking way before that and doing drugs all day long, and then the Monday that I was recouping and drinking at home. You know, forget about all that. Like, let's just talk about I can't do a champagne toast at my wedding, which is ridiculous, right? So, which, by the way, we had a bar at our reception, which I said we did like all the food and all that kind of stuff, the desserts. At our reception, I said that I was not comfortable paying for a bar. My dad ended up picking up the tab for the whole thing, so, which was very nice. But so we didn't have a champagne toast at our wedding. We had sparkling grape juice or whatever. And that was what we used as sobriety was very prevalent in my in our wedding. Like, it was really important for me that there was a certain prayer that was read. Caroline actually read it in kind of place of my mom, because my mom couldn't be there. So Caroline, who was my best person, she read the third step prayer. So anyway. I think there was this huge fear, well, I know there was this huge fear, this blockage of me before I got sober that was like, I can't imagine what my life is going to be like. Like, I just couldn't imagine it ever, like what it was going to look like sober, right? Like, I mean, the day before I got sober, if you had told me you're going to get sober tomorrow and you won't use ever again for 27 and a half years, I would have been like, you're crazy. Like, seriously, when I said you're crazy, like, there's no way. Like, I can't, there's no way. I cannot do it. I was terrified. I absolutely terrified. And so I think that's why it was important for me to be in a inpatient treatment program for as long as I was, because I think if I had been out, I don't think that I could have done it. I'm not saying that that's necessary for everybody, but it was necessary for me. I had to be medically detoxed, and then I think I just had to stay somewhere where I couldn't really think on my own for a while, you know? And even then, when I got out, I mean, it was literally like, I was talking to somebody about this at a meeting not too long ago, that it was literally like hour by hour, minute by minute for me sometimes. You know, they talk about one day at a time. Like, I would have I had this counter in my kitchen, and it had like this phone on the end with the answering machine and all that, you know, and I would have these pieces of paper laid out where I had gone to meetings. And today, if you go to meetings, usually at your first meeting, they'll give you like a list of all the people's numbers that regularly go to that meeting. It's so nice. It's so luxurious today. But back in the day when I got sober, like, you had to ask somebody for a number because everything was about attraction. So if you saw somebody at a meeting that said something that you liked, you had to go up to them after the meeting and say, "Can I get your number?" or whatever. But what happened to me in early sobriety was that a lot of people came up to me and they were like, "Would you like my number?" Or they would hand me on a ripped off piece of paper, or, you know, check back of a deposit sheet or something like that. They would have their number, and so it would say like John, you know, and like John's number. I'm just making that up, by the way. Whatever. And so I would have these pieces of paper, and they would be like sitting in this row, and then I would be like, okay, you know, like if I had like 3 dealers, I would be like, I only have to make it to, let's see what time it is, you know, like it's 3:09. If I can make it to 3:30, then I can call one of these dealers, or I can walk into the liquor store. And so I would call these numbers of these people from meetings, and sooner or later I would get a hold of somebody, you know, and they would say like, "I'm coming to pick you up, and I'm going to take you to a meeting, or you're going to hang out with me for a while," or they would talk to me on the phone and just share their experience, strength, and hope, or whatnot. And that was literally how I got through like many of the early days. And that was me choosing recovery. That was me choosing sobriety. Was weird. Like when that thought just went through my head, I thought, that's a really powerful thought. You know, I don't know that I really understood at that time what I was doing. You know, anytime as addicts and alcoholics that we choose to go to a meeting, or we choose to call our sponsor, or we choose to just not pick up, or pick up the phone and call somebody else, just not pick up in that moment that we're craving, is a choice against our addiction. Like, I don't know that I really understood that at the time. Like, that's pretty powerful. I don't know. You know, people know that I have, like, said what I had to say about people white knuckling it and, you know, not going into treatment programs or getting medically detoxed and stuff. And it's usually received well on YouTube when I talk about it, but it's not because I'm like this, you know, die hard, like you must do it this way, blah, 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 whatever. It's not about that at all. It's because I've had friends of mine that have died trying to detox themselves. I've had friends of mine that have ended up in, just from alcohol. I'm not even talking about opioids, heroin, all that other kind of stuff. I've had friends of mine that have ended up in horrific situations as a result of trying to detox themselves off of alcohol, you know? And part of the problem is that in the early days of sobriety, like when 12-step programs were developed and whatnot, we kind of knew how to, like they would teach how to, not teach like in a professional setting, but like we knew how to detox our own back then, you know, and you still hear stories about like somebody would be given like, you know, a fifth of this, and then the next day they'd be given like a half of a fifth, and then the third day they'd be given, you know, a fourth of a fifth, and they would wean them off of alcohol over like 3 or 4 days, right? We don't know how to do that today, and it's so dangerous anyway that you wouldn't do it in your own home because you could be held responsible or liable for it. Which is why people that are drinking on a pretty regular basis, even if it's not every day, I think there's this misconception that you have to be drinking every day to be chemically dependent to alcohol. That is not the case. And it doesn't mean that you have to drink a fifth every day. You know, I mean, you could be drinking just 3 to 4 times a week and you would physically go through withdrawals of alcohol. It depends on, you know, your physical makeup, the organics of your body, how long you've been drinking, what you've been drinking, all of that, you know. So I don't know. I feel very, very blessed today that I'm sober and that I live a sober life and that I've chosen a sober life. It's probably one of the only choices in my life that I've made. That's not true. I was going to joke about that, but like I've made a lot of choices in my life that have led me to have, you know, a beautiful life. I'm very grateful for my life. I'm very grateful for my life. I am, though, you know. So, thank you for how you phrased that by saying, you know, that you're happy that I chose sobriety. I'm happy that I chose sobriety, too. You know, several years ago, God, it's been like a long time ago now, I was having lunch with my dad on my birthday, and somehow the discussion of my sobriety came up, and I said to him, like, what do you think would have happened what do you think would have happened to me, like, had I not gotten sober, like, if I was, and he goes, oh, you'd be dead. Like, without a doubt, like, right away, he was like, you'd be dead. And I was like, do you really believe that? He was like, oh, yeah, absolutely, you'd be dead. And I was like, you believe that so firmly? And he was like, yes. And I think that's the thing is, and I'm glad that my dad has never forgotten what it was like for me, because I think for me, as I've gotten farther away, it's been easy. You know, they say that about addiction anyway, that the further away you get from the event that brought you in, the easier it is to make excuses for why you don't need to stay sober. There's a lot I don't remember from early sobriety, and not just because of like how they say, you know, like more will be revealed and then I never remembered it, but just because those, like, I just think about this, okay, like this is just one of the first things that comes to mind. I never would have allowed myself to be in a position where I didn't have enough alcohol to get drunk. So what I mean by that is that I never would have stayed out too late or not had alcohol at home that I could have gotten drunk the next day if, let's say, it was a Sunday. Like in Indiana now you can buy alcohol on Sundays, I think, till 8 p.m. But this just changed like 2 or 3 years ago. But the whole time that I was growing up, you couldn't buy alcohol in Indiana or Indianapolis? In Indiana on Sundays. And so I know a lot of people are like, that is so backwards. What? No, that was truly like how when I grew up. And so like I would make sure that before I went out on like a Saturday night that I bought like a case of beer and like a fifth. Like I would make sure that it was sitting in my apartment, ready for me to come home on Saturday night, ready for me to keep on drinking, ready for me to get drunk on Saturday. Like I was not going to be in a position. Sometimes I would hide alcohol in my house because I was like, I don't want to be in a position where I don't have alcohol the next day. And it wasn't like a fear for me. I will say that. It wasn't like a fear that what's going to happen. But I don't know. Maybe that's not true. Maybe some of it was a little bit of a fear, a subconscious fear that I wasn't fully aware of. But like if you had asked me, I would have said, no, I just want to drink on a Sunday. You know? I think the other thing that was a little bit different from me when I first came in was that I was very cognizant and aware of the fact that I was an alcoholic. Now, I talked about on here recently that when people would say to me, you have a problem with alcohol, I'd say, no, you have a problem with my drinking alcohol. I don't have a problem with it. What I meant by that was I didn't feel like my life was unmanageable. But did I recognize that I was powerless over alcohol? Absolutely. I mean, I would watch these movies like Days of Wine and Roses and stuff like that, like, and I just, like, I connected. Like, I was like, that's me. Like, I'm this person. And I almost took some pride. I can remember reading, like, you know, Little Girl Lost by Drew Barrymore, talking about addiction and stuff, and it was like I almost kind of craved that desperation of being like that, even though I already had that genetic, I think, makeup to be an alcoholic inside of me and an addict. I think I craved that to some degree. So when I saw it and I recognized it in movies or TV shows or whatever, I was like, yeah, that was me. So when I got sober and I came into treatment, it wasn't a hard leap for me to admit that I was an alcoholic addict. Like, there's a lot of people that I think really struggle with that concept because they're like, I can control it. Like, I really can control it, you know? I think had I not had 4 or whatever previous attempts at, and some of them real attempts at trying to either moderate my use or stop using, I think that might have been different. But, like, even that, like, when I was in that outpatient program, I feel like I started that off, like, real good. And then by the end, I was drinking on the weekends. Like I was telling you guys the other day, it was like, by the end, it was like I had no, I don't know, I can't remember, you know, because that would have been 19 or something at the time. I can't remember when that changed for me. I don't know, like, through the period of 10 weeks or whatever that I was in that outpatient program, like, did it start right away and I was drinking right away, or was it towards the end? I don't remember. I feel like it was more like the middle of all of that. I do remember the friend that I was drinking with, though. You know, so I don't know, like, I guess it was more after I came into treatment that I didn't really struggle with this idea of I'm an alcoholic addict. Like, it was something that I connected with really quick, especially when we started talking about, like, the disease concept and all of that stuff. Like, I just, whether you believe in that or not is fine. That's just, but for me, I believe in that. And, like, I connected with that really quick. If I wasn't willing to accept it before, it was because I didn't want to have to stop what I was doing. That was really everything around it. Like, I can remember, so maybe it's more of what I was thinking. I can remember thinking to myself, like, you have a serious problem. Like, I knew that. Like, inside, like, I knew I had a serious problem. I think it was more like, but you don't have to do anything about it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to make any changes until they force you to. I can remember going to my dad's house and purposely getting in arguments with him and my stepmom. And they would just be standing there, like, I would literally, like, show up and I'd be there for like 15 minutes and it was like a tornado went through the house. And this was, I would say, the last 6 months of my, before I went into treatment. And I can remember, like, I can just see myself standing there screaming at them and them just looking like, what happened? Like, it's a Sunday afternoon. We asked you if you wanted to stay for steaks. We were going to cook out on the grill, and all of a sudden you're screaming and yelling at us. Like, what happened? They didn't understand it. And I don't even know that I understood it at the time. But I can remember leaving, and there was this little Ace liquor store on my way home. And I would pull in there, and I would be so pissed at them. And it would be like a Sunday afternoon. And I would get, it was like bigger than a pint, but it was bigger than a pint, but it wasn't a fifth. So I don't know what that is in between. It was like a little small, like, bottle that looked like a fifth of this whiskey that I liked, but it wasn't Jack Daniels. And it tasted like cherries. I can't remember what it was. And I would get, I think it came in a 4-pack, maybe a 6-pack of Red Stripe, that Jamaican beer that I absolutely loved. I can remember, like, whenever I would argue with my dad, I would say something to him, like, the last thing I would say to him was, like, can you even just give me $20? Like, and I was so good at, like, guilt tripping my dad at that time, and he would always give me, like, $20 or $40, and I can remember I would specifically use that money on the alcohol, and in my head, I'd be like, it wasn't, I don't even know that I realized that it was manipulation. I just was like, screw you. Like, you know, and like I can, like, that's something that's like sat with me for a long time. My dad and I have talked a lot about that, because he was like, we just never understood what you were so mad about. And I was like, I don't know that I even knew at the time, you know. I think I just was looking for a reason to get drunk. I don't know why I needed a reason. The damage that we do to the people around us in active addiction is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable, you know? I don't have tons of relationships in my life today. You know, I really don't. But I have what I think is a pretty successful marriage. I mean, we've been married for 11 and a half years, and we've been together for 13 and a half years. And we're happy together. We love each other, and we're passionate towards each other. I have a best friend that I've had for almost over 25 years at this point now. You know, I have a sponsor. I have several friends in sobriety. We have, you know, Melissa and Jason and Aaron and Eric that I'm friends with, and my friend Valerie. I have lots. I've met in-laws. I have my dad and my stepmom, my cousin Caroline and her family. You know, it's like I feel very blessed with the people that I have in my life. I have a home that, no, it's not large by any means, but I love my little front porch, you know, and I love the books that I read when I do read, and the TV shows that I watch, and the food that I eat, and all of that. The simple life that I've been given is all as a result of me having chosen sobriety, you know? It took a long time to repair those relationships. And even in getting into romantic relationships with people that never knew me as a using person, my behaviors of using still came out in those early relationships. And so it affected those relationships, you know? I don't know that I think today, I'm sure in some ways my being an addict alcoholic still affects my relationships, but I don't think negatively in the way that it used to, you know? And I'm just super, super grateful that I chose sobriety as well. And as a result, I have this magically amazing, simple life that I love, you know? And every day I get up and I just feel so truly, 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 truly grateful for. I really do, you know? All right, I'm going to get off here, and I'm going to finish this episode of the show, and I'm going to start rendering this vlog and getting it up, so it will be up for you guys tomorrow. When I go to my meeting, it will be up about 6 or 7. So anyway, Eastern time. Or are we Central? No, we're Eastern time. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a magically amazing Tuesday. I missed you guys yesterday, so I will try to be vlogging. I will try to vlog every day this week. If you liked the nighttime vlog, let me know. I might do a few more of them. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a magically amazing Tuesday. Remember these 3 important things. You can start your day whenever you want. Practice random acts. I almost forgot. Practice random acts of kindness, and most importantly, reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you today. And I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.